I was 16 and me and my friends, who I'll call Evan and Jake, wanted to rent a hotel for the night since it was spring break. We got to the hotel and checked in. It had a really funky smell, but we still stayed there. Once we got to our room, it was about 3 p.m, so we decided to go swimming. The pool was downstairs, departed from the hotel. Once we got to the entrance, there was a man at least 6'3" in all black with a hood covering his face. Facing us, I panicked a little, but not out loud. We got into the pool and swam for a few hours until we saw that man again, all black, sitting on a chair by the pool. I cleared my throat. Can I help you, sir?" I asked. No response. I was still a little paranoid. I put my face in the water, and at the bottom of the pool was another figure that was all black. I screamed like a little girl and ran for the door. I looked back and saw nothing, not the guy in the chair or the guy under the pool. My friends thought I was just seeing things, but I saw what I saw as clear as water. I didn't feel like swimming anymore, so I decided to get dinner at a nearby restaurant. I got a table for me and my friends to sit at, and there I saw once again the man all in black on the other side of the dining room, and was staring at me. I have had enough. I went over there and I lost track of him, and he took off. After we ate, I decided this trip had gone too far and we should leave tomorrow morning, but my friends didn't like that idea. Once it was 10:30, my friends and I dozed off in the hotel room. I woke up to some noises. I saw the shadow of a figure at the end of my bed. I calmed myself down and told myself that it was just my hat that I put there before I went to sleep. I went to bed and got woken up again 30 minutes later to more noises. I was getting thirsty, so I reached under the bed and tried to grab my water bottle. But I grabbed something and I was totally shocked by what I grabbed. It was my hat. I was not ever more scared in my life. I couldn't help but to scream at the top of my lungs when I heard a voice next to my ear say, "You're a bitch!" I jumped out of bed and realized it was two men in black right there. I tried to fight them, but it was no use once they grabbed me and dragged me out of that room. I tried to scream, but that guy was covering my mouth. I passed out and woke up in a stretcher. It turned out those guys knifed me while I was passed out, and someone found me and called for help. The police said no one was able to catch the guys that did that to me. To this day, I still have trouble sleeping at night. I always have a nightlight on so that I'm not scared. This trauma has scared me and affected me mentally for many years to come. To put it plainly, I have no idea what the hell is even happening anymore. First of all, my parents called me the other day to let me know they're coming to visit this weekend. Sounds normal, right? Well, it would be if my parents hadn't died in a horrific car accident with a semi-truck last year. Yesterday, my little brother called me. He sounded incredibly unnerved about something, so I asked him what was wrong. "This monster has been following me around since Wednesday." At first, I didn't believe him, but I asked him to describe the monster anyway. "It has translucent white skin, unnaturally long legs, but walks on its knees, glowing yellow eyes that seem to gaze upon his very soul, an unerring smile that stretched from ear to ear with dagger-like teeth, and long, lanky arms with large, clawed hands." A wave of chills suddenly flowed over me, causing me to freeze up. I managed to regain my composure and asked him where he was when he noticed the creature. I was walking downtown to get some food for my cat when I noticed something moving in the parking structure across the street. I focused on it and watched for movement. That's when I noticed a face peeking at me from around a car on the 7th floor of the structure, that godforsaken smile perpetually etched into its skull. I was petrified just trying to visualize this creature. "I've got to go. I'll call you back later," I said as I hung up the phone. Is he crazy? Am I crazy? I don't even know what to believe anymore. My brother called me again. What he said sent a tsunami of pure, unrelenting fear through my entire body. "I met the monsters last night." I was taken aback. How is he still alive? "What happened?" I asked him. When I finally fell asleep last night after hours of tossing and turning worried about the monster, I was quickly awakened by a scraping sound. It sounded like nails on a chalkboard and sent goosebumps down my arms. I lurched forward in my bed to find the source of the sound. I looked to the window, only to see those piercing yellow eyes staring back at me. I was frozen with primal fear, the most powerful emotion of all. As it slowly slid one long claw under the window and opened it, I was paralyzed as it crept through the window and into the room with me. I saw my life flash before my eyes as the monster outstretched its lanky arms toward me. I thought it would simply reach into my chest and tear out my still beating heart. I was surprised when the monster gently scooped me up into its arms. It cradled me like an infant as it crept back outside through the open window. As we crept towards the forest, the creature pushed itself off of its knees. It now stood at its full height, well above the treetops. It strode through the forest with an elegance not befitting a creature of its appearance. As it cradled me, it began to sing one of the lullabies Mother used to sing to us at bedtime. Its voice was that of a beautiful woman, but much more eerie. It was as if someone had taken a recording of an opera and layered it on top of itself, as if there were hundreds of voices singing at once. When I awoke, I surveyed my surroundings. I was still in the woods. There was an enormous bonfire directly in front of me, and the monster was on my left side, just staring down at me. Then a second monster appeared behind it, much larger than the first. This one spoke in a deep voice that, once again, sounded like 100 voices at once. "My son, it has been far too long. Your mother and I have missed you dearly." I should have been terrified, but instead I only felt loved. "We have brought you a gift." With this, it put forward its hand, holding in it a children's book. It was one of the ones our father used to read to us as children. As I groggily grabbed the book, the emotions I should have been feeling before hitting me like a Mack truck. As I began to lose consciousness, Father said one more thing. "Tell your brother, we have a gift for him too." I was about the age of 13 when this story took place. I lived in an old house just on the outside of a large city and was surrounded by cornfields and forests. I had lived there all of my life before this happened. It was a dreary summer night, which is mostly normal for the place I live. But on this particular night, something just fell off. I'd come home from soccer practice around 6 p.m, and my parents always had me in bed by 8. The night went on as usual. I ate dinner, played with my little sister, and did some weightlifting before bed. I got into bed around 7:45. This story will better make sense if I tell you some things about me. I'm a restless sleeper. I toss and turn and get up periodically through the night. And I've always had a fascination with the afterlife. Okay, back to the story. I'm not sure exactly what time I fell asleep, but I didn't really have my usual episodes through the night. This was the first night I slept peacefully in years. I was suddenly awoken by a strange noise coming from the bathroom in my bedroom. Since I had to use the bathroom anyways, I decided to go check it out. I thought it might be a mouse or a bat since we live in the country, and the house is old and has holes in the old walls. I went in the bathroom. I didn't see anything, so I proceeded on my way to pee. After peeing, I washed my hands and face, and when I was washing my face, I looked up at the large mirror that overhangs my sink. Since there was still water in my eyes, my vision was blurry, and I couldn't really see much. But I thought I saw something behind me. But I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me. I dried my face off and looked up at the mirror again. Right behind me, there was a little girl clutching my body, almost as if she was hiding from something. Her ghostly outline scared me at first, but as I kept looking, I could tell that whatever was scaring her was coming from the basement. So I walked to my basement door, and I opened it slightly at first because I was very scared of what might be behind it. This being said, I've lived in this house my entire life and have never been in the basement. My dad mentioned to me that it had 3 separate parts, all separated by small windows that you could barely fit through. So, I walked down the basement steps and got down to the bottom where the light switch was. I turned it on, and all seemed like it was okay. That's until I heard what sounded like crying from one of the other parts of the basement. In my mind, I was thinking, fuck this shit, but in my heart, I knew I had to see what it was. So I ventured through the part of the basement, and the light couldn't reach the other side where the other room was. It was pitch black. I still heard the crying, but since it was so dark, I couldn't see anything. Something gave me the urge to go to the far corner of the room because the way the moonlight reflected off of the floor You could kind of see with the little light you had. I walked over to the corner and stared directly in the middle of the room. There, in the middle of the room, was a chair. It had shackles for the feet and what looked like to be some type of restraint for arms or something like that. That's when I noticed that there was someone sitting in that chair. I walked closer, only to reveal that it was the same little girl ghost that had been crying previously in the bathroom. She was also crying there, and had needles stuck in her arms, draining some type of fluid into her. All was quiet till she started screaming. It was so high-pitched, I thought it sounded like a siren, or something of that nature. She was saying words, but I couldn't make out anything she was saying, until she spoke 5 menacing words that made my heart sink. She spoke, "Get out. Daddy is coming." Not even thinking twice, I sprinted up the basement stairs, tripping over my own feet and falling flat on my face once I reached the top. I got back up and ran to my parents' room. I told them what happened. They went down there and checked everything out. I told them about the chair and the little girl that was screaming. They told me that there was no chair in the basement and that there had never been 3 parts of the basement. Me not believing them, I walked back down there, and the room that I saw the chair in was not there. There had only ever been 2 parts of the basement, my dad said. I told him what I saw and how I knew there had to be some mistake, but I never did see that part of the basement again. I'm 18 now, and I decided to do some research on the house to see if there's any history that could have caused that. I came across an article of a man who had been arrested in 1868 for doing lab experiments on all of his children. After the man was arrested, the police found all 12 skeletons of his children stuffed behind the basement stairs under debris and concrete. Now that I finally have moved out of that house, and that I finally have an answer as to what I saw that night, I am finally at peace. But those 5 words still hang over me to this day. Get out, Daddy is coming. This story happened in October of 2004, back when I was still a junior year high school student. My friends and I stuck around the school, late at night, after our annual Halloween party. We had agreed to try out my friend's Ouija board. It wasn't the brightest idea, but we needed a thrill. We found a nice spot under a huge Nara tree and proceeded with our half-assed ritual. There were 5 of us, 2 boys and 3 girls. We were all expecting some kind of paranormal contact. Rumors had it our school was haunted, but we've never really experienced anything firsthand. And it was Halloween when all the spirits came out to play. We all wanted to get spooked. Also, we've never seen a Ouija board firsthand before, so we were pretty excited. Our school was an old Spanish colonial house, built in the 1800s when the Spaniards still occupied the Philippines. We were in a section of the school that doesn't get used often. Located beside a creepy old Jesuit house, people only go there when they needed the use of the restroom, store equipment on one of the sheds, or make out with their boyfriends or girlfriends. We sat down in the middle of an open space, with only an exposed bare bulb nearby, illuminating the surroundings. We were all having a laugh, scaring each other with what-if scenarios. It was your typical dumb kids doing dumb things. My friend who brought the Ouija board proceeded to place it in the middle of our circle. If I remember correctly, it was the glow-in-the-dark version, which we found hilarious. But it gave us the ability to see what was written in the dark. Not knowing what to do, and going after what we've seen in movies, we all proceeded to place our index finger on top of the planchette. We sat there looking at each other until one of us said, "What's next?" We didn't know if there was a proper way to start the ritual, plus the board didn't come with instructions. So we decided to just throw in a question. "Is anyone there?" I called out into the darkness. "If there are spirits living here, please talk to us." One of the girls joined in. We clearly had no idea what we were doing. Still nothing. Not even the slightest bit of wind. One of my friends jerked the planchette and the girl who brought the Ouija board screamed, breaking the silence. We all laughed at how ridiculous it was. After a bit of joking around, we decided to give it another go. We all placed our index fingers on the planchette once more and asked, "If there's anyone there, we would like to make contact." "Don't break the circle," one of my friends jokingly said. "Shut up," I whispered. We were just about ready to give up when the wind started to pick up. The stillness broke and the darkness around us seemed to move. Just a coincidence, we thought. "Okay, don't break the circle," I yelled out. "Is anyone there?" I was excited. It was like a scene from a movie with dirt and dead leaves swirling around us. "Guys, I'm scared." My friend sitting beside me said, "My mom warned me about playing with forces we don't know. Did you die here? Were you killed during the war? Are you the headless priest that roams these halls? Do you know Jose Rizal, our national hero? Are you a hottie?" My friend giggled. At this point, we were all throwing random stupid questions. Nothing. "This is bullshit. I don't want to do this anymore," my friend said, exasperated. We were all thinking the same. Just then, a group of dogs from the neighboring house started barking at us through the chain-link fence. These 6 dogs were growling and showing teeth. We all screamed, and without finishing the ritual, bolted right out of there. We didn't see each other until after Halloween break, and this is where the story gets creepy. One of the girls told us about a weird experience she had the night after playing with the Ouija board. She had gotten home late after hanging out with her friends from the neighborhood when she realized she had forgotten the keys to her house. So she called her brother up, who was then still sharing a room with her, and what he said crept the hell out of her. He swore she was already home. He claimed to have seen her walk in a while ago, and that she looked really tired and saw her head straight to bed. Creepy, but no need to freak ourselves out, was all we thought. Besides, her brother must have just been tired and seeing things. But then my other friend started telling us about an encounter she had that Halloween night. She was going up to her room when the lights started flickering as she was ascending the staircase. Your typical horror movie visuals, shrug it off to faulty wiring. But just then she saw the door to her room open and a dark figure stepped out and stood atop of their staircase. She couldn't make out the entity's face, but she recounted that she couldn't move and felt utter dread as the figure stared down at her. "No way," my best friend, who just joined in the conversation, said in disbelief. "Something happened to me as well." He recalled that he was sleeping one night when he woke up feeling really uncomfortable. He described his vision as having TV-like static, and a feeling of heaviness surrounded him. He looked around the room, and that's when he saw a bloody, charred face with piercing red eyes, grinning at him through the window. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because I had an almost run-in with death that night. After the ritual, I was sleeping in our sedan on the way home, after fooling around with the Ouija board, when I felt our car jerk. I woke up instantly. Looking out the window, I found out that we've been hit by a huge oil tanker. I panicked and leapt out of the car. Luckily, my mum and I survived the crash, since the front of the car was a total wreck. I still don't have an explanation why those things happened to us, but thank God nothing happened after that. I never played or got near a Ouija board ever since. I guess I'll start with a background. I'm a 33-year-old female, but this story takes place when I was a teenager, living in a suburb of Chicago. The village I lived in was quiet and middle class. We lived like a mile from the police station, and the worst crimes we had were a murder or two and robbery. Once in a blue moon. 99% of the time. Boring and more boring. Unless you had a car, you were stuck just walking around the park at night with your friends. Kind of boring. Anyway, one night my girlfriend and I decided to go hang out at a park with some guys at like 12 a.m. The night was a bit windy and had a full moon. I even got a kiss that night from the boy I liked. But the night wasn't just fun and hanging out late. There's a deep forest in the park with a stream with a playground right next to it. The same playground we went to, with swings and jungle gym columns. There are 2 bridges, one of wood, the one everyone uses, and one bridge made of rocks that's rarely used because it is deeper in the forest, over the stream, connecting the 2 halves of the forest park area. I'll get to the rock bridge in a minute. We hung around on the swings and chatted and just spent the evening together. I'm sitting and just looking around, talking and enjoying the peace and quiet and the moonlight. I have a full view of the forest and the dip of earth that I know leads to the stream. I see something moving over that dip of earth. Some dark shape. It looked like it was crawling out of the forest. An arm, then another arm. It pulls itself out of the ditch, stream. A figure darker than the surrounding forest. And I'm sitting there frozen. I think I'm seeing things. It just kind of lays there on the ground but doesn't move. A flash of fear grips me. What if it comes this way? I look to my friends and no one notices anything. I look back and it's gone. Did it go back or go somewhere? I really want to get out of there. Then one friend asks, "Did you guys hear about the urban legend of the rock bridge over the stream? Apparently some kids or something played on the bridge and fell over and died." What a thing to say after what I saw. But I didn't ask anyone anything and just pretended I didn't see anything. But the experience stuck with me. I never talked about it because it must have been my imagination. Things like that happen only in scary movies, right? But I rarely went to that park after that. And Black Thing, if you are real, I hope we never meet again. Who knows what would have happened if you saw me the same time? I saw you. Thank you everyone who stayed and tuned into these scary stories. I appreciated all of the kind messages everyone leaves in the comment section. If you would like to read these stories, I have the link to each of them down in the description below. If you have a creepy, scary, or thrilling story that you would like featured in the next video, comment down below and I would be more than happy to send you my email to submit your story. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and comment down below. Thanks for listening. Until next time, sweet nightmares.